In this video, we'll just do a quick tour of a map. So when you create a new map in Land App, you'll see you're probably hovering somewhere over Birmingham, but at the top of the screen you can search this map by postcode, place name, grid reference, or if you're in a paid subscription, what 3 words. So all you need to do is type in your search criteria, select, and then you'll be zoomed to that area of the map. Over to the right of the screen, you'll see that we are on OpenStreetMap, which is one of our free base maps. If you click on that, you'll see all the available base maps. So we have OpenStreetMap, and then we have 3 different Ordnance Survey base maps. These are what we call freemium. You can view up to certain zoom levels for free, but then once you get into certain zoom levels, you would then need to have OS premium credits to view that data. When you first signed up to Land App, you will have been given a small amount of credits, so you can take a look. But if you want to add credits, you can click on the person icon up here, and then you can add OS credits when needed. Then we have some aerial imagery, a blank base map, and some LiDAR, which is only available if you're in a paid subscription. So you can just toggle through those and you'll see the different base maps, and you can use whichever one you need for your mapping. Then over to here we have our data layers, and these you can see are categorized, access, administratives, designations, etc. You can either expand a category and look to see what's in there, or you can do a search to see if there's a data layer, and you can toggle that on. The data will load on screen for you, and if you select a feature, this right hand panel will come up and give you the information about the data layer that you're looking at. I'm just going to come back up here and I'm going to reset my data layers so they're not showing on screen anymore. In the bottom left of the screen, you'll see you have your zoom controls here, but that can also be done if you've got a scroll bar or a mouse with scroll. You can just zoom in and out using that. So that concludes the quick tour of a map. In part 2, we'll be looking at how to import data into the Land App. In part 2, we're going to look at how to create plans in the Land App, and we're going to do this by importing data. So in the top left of your screen, you'll see this new button, and if you click on that, you'll see you have some different options. The options we're going to look at are use template or import data. These both do exactly the same thing, but they just step you through the process in a slightly different way. So we're going to go with import data, and the first method we're going to look at is picking from Land Registry. So with that selected, the freehold titles for England and Wales will load onto your screen, and you'll have this little message here, and it's a toggle that is automatically toggled on, which is going to select all parcels within a title. But if you don't want Land App to do that, you can just toggle it off. So to select a title, you simply single click to select the title, and you'll see the color styling changes, and you continue to do that until all of the titles that you're interested in are selected. If you select something in error, you can just click on it again and it will deselect. So once you're happy with your selection, you just click on next, and then you're going to be asked which template you want to put this plan onto. So when you first signed up for Land App, you will have picked your sector, and this is going to be your default here for presenting the most relevant templates for you. But if you click on the down arrow, you can toggle into another sector, or I think at the bottom here there's an other, etc. So you can see all of the different templates if you need to. And then to select the template that you want, just scroll through the list and pick what you want. So in this example, I'm going to select ownership boundary, and then I'm going to give my plan a name, and then click on finish. you'll see that the land registry titles that we selected have now been imported into a plan. And if you click on the folder, which is the plan name, you'll see the features that we selected when clicking on those land registry titles are all contained here. So the next import method we're going to look at is using an SBI. So once again, we're going to click on New, and we're going to click on, this time we'll go Use Template. So I'm going to use Template, and I'm going to pick the template that I want to use. So I'm just going to switch my sector because I want to use this one, and then I'm going to say I want to import from the Rural Payments Agency. So I'm going to pop in my 9-digit SBI, and then I can select the data set that I want to use. So land covers is the recommended, but you can import one or all three of these, and then click on Next. I'm going to give my plan a name, and then click on Finish. And now we'll see again, if I click on the folder next to my plan name, I can see my RPA data has been imported from the import function, and I can see all of my land parcels here. So I'm just going to hide this plan, and you can see an eye icon next to your plan names, and this is to hide and show the visibility. And our next import method is going to be import from file. So again, New, I'm going to go with import data this time. I'm going to tell it I want to import from file, and you can see here these are the formats that we accept. You can import data in GeoJSON, KML, Shape, DXF or .tab files, but we do have a file size limit of 50 megabytes. So you can either click in this area and you'll be presented with your folder structure for your computer, and you can locate your file, or you can simply drag and drop data onto the screen, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to click on Next. I'm then going to choose my template. So I'm going to put this again on an ownership boundary, and I can click on Next. I can rename my plan and click on Finish. And we'll see that that data has now been imported. So again, I'm just going to hide my plan here in the left hand side, and we'll look at the last option we have using this import data function, which is create from an existing plan. And what this allows you to do is duplicate from any one of your existing plans in this left hand panel. So if I click here, I will then see a list of those plans, and I can create a duplicate of it, and I can pop it onto the same template if I want, or I could pop it onto a different template. So in this example, again, I'm just going to change my sector, and I'm going to pop it on an SFI template. I can then change the name and then click on Finish. And there we go. So what's happened in this example is my crop plan here has been used to create an SFI plan. There are a couple of additional ways that you can get data into a plan, and I'll just show you these. You can use existing data layers. So I'm just going to go to data layers here, and I'm going to go to, let's say, SSI. I'm going to go and look for SSIs, and I can see one here. I'm going to select this feature, and I'm going to right click, and I've got the option here to copy to plan. I can copy this feature into an existing plan, or I can create a new plan for it, and then click on create new plan for features. I could have copied multiple features, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just clicking on this feature over here, and then I'm going to right click and select this feature here, and then again I can right click, copy to plan, create an existing, copy into an existing, or create a new plan for those features. So it's worth noting that not all of our data layers are copyable, but you would be able to tell by selecting, right click, if you can't get anything on the right click, you won't be able to copy to plan. This concludes the guidance on importing data into LandApp. In part 3, we'll look at editing and modification. So with your data imported into LandApp, you can start to edit and modify this data. So in this example, we're going to look at our data on the SFI template, but the functionality would be the same for whichever template you're using. So in the first instance, I'm going to select a feature on my map, and I just did that with a single click to highlight the feature, and this right hand panel will appear. Because we're using an SFI template, what we're going to do is we're going to apply all of our SFI options, and to do that we can click on Assign Use, and we'll be presented with the SFI options that are available for us. If we were on another template such as countryside stewardship or an ownership or valuation plan, the available uses will be relevant to that plan only. So I can come in here and I can either expand a category by clicking on it, or I can search for my options here. So I'm going to select my option, and in this instance I just created this option for a single feature, but if I hold down the Shift key I can multi-select features and then apply the same option to all of those. Also on this right hand panel you can change styling. So again, this can be done on an individual level or can be done using a multi-select, but if you click on style you'll see you have options to change the fill, the pattern and the border, and then if you don't want any of these changes to remain you can click on reset style. Also on this right hand panel we'll start to see all the detail for those features, so we can see the area, the description, the code that we've selected, the payment rates, etc. And if we scroll down a little bit we can see our field ID, sheet ID, etc. And data from this right hand panel can be used to annotate the map. So we'll see that there's no annotation showing right now, but if we select, and again I'm going to hold down the Shift key, but I could also do this in another way. I could right click and say select feature type, and that's going to select all features of the same type. So these three features have the same option, and so this is what select feature type is doing. It is selecting the assigned use. So if I come to this one, which is there is not a use assigned, and we've got a few of these features, if I right click and go select feature type, it's going to select all of those features that don't have an assigned use. So I'm going to go back to these one and go select feature type, and what I can do now is I can start to pin these annotations to my features. So there we go, and we'll see if I click off of that, all that information is going to remain on screen for me. Moving on from the right hand panel, we'll start to look at the functions that you have across the top of the screen here, where you can edit your features or draw additional features. So the first function that we have here is to draw. So I'm just going to click on draw, and you'll see you can add lines, arrows, areas, points, text, etc. And to do so you would just click on the feature that you wanted to draw. So I'm going to draw a line, and you'll see we have a snap function which is by default on, and this is going to allow me to draw a line that snaps to the edge of the feature, and that was a single click to start and a double click to finish, and then I'm going to click on finish, and with the line selected I could change its assigned use, so I could pop it into another option. I can also do that for point features, so I could add a point feature, click on finish, click on change, and add my options to a point feature. Additional functions that we have across the top here are undo and redo. So I can undo the last few actions, so undoing my point and then undoing my line. So you'll see they no longer exist, but I can also redo them. So if I want to re-add my line with my option, I can do that here. This is the snap function that I mentioned earlier. By default it's always on, but if you don't want to snap whilst drawing a feature, you can toggle this to off by clicking it. Then we have some modification tools here, so I can split features. So I'm just going across here and I'm going to split this feature into two. I also have a merge function, so I can merge two features, and by selecting that merge function it's asking me to select another feature to merge with. So I'm just going to do that and we'll see that that's merged. We can also add buffers, so I'm going to select this option. I'm going to tell it which side I want to buffer on, so you can just toggle them on, and if you get the wrong one like this, you can just toggle that off and toggle the right one. So I want to add a buffer or margin on the interior. I tell it how wide I want it to be, and then whether I want to subtract this or not. So subtraction is going to change the area of the main parcel, which we can see is 2.99 hectares now, but if we subtract and click on OK, we'll see that it's subtracted the margin away, and so now we're left with 2.19, and again I could pop this into a new assigned use as well. So we also have the option to duplicate. What this will do is it will create a copy of the feature, so this can be used to add second options if needed. If you can do that in your scheme, you can add a second option directly on top. And then this function here is copy to plan. So if I want to copy this feature and I maybe want to pop it into a pre-existing plan, or I want to create a new plan for just that feature, I can go through that process. On to the next section of tools. This is the adjust, which is the default, which is on, and this is when you see all these active nodes around a feature. But I can also choose to move features, so you'll see I can move this option around, and then I can also rotate features, so we can see I can rotate that feature around. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop back to adjust feature, and then I'm just going to delete this feature. So the last tool here, this disable modifications, allows you to lock these functions. So it's just locking these functions. You could still carry on assigning uses or changing styling, so it's not a full lock. You do have that, so if you hover over your plan here on the left hand side, you'll see that you have an option to lock the plan, and that locks it from any editing or modification. This function here we've just seen, delete. And then the last function we have is a move backwards or move forwards function. So if you have multiple options sitting on top of each other, you can choose what order they show in. And this concludes the editing and modification. In part 4, we'll look at the different outputs you can create and how you can share data. So firstly, you can create printable output of any plans you create in LandApp. So at the top of the screen, you'll see these functions here, and one of these is print this map. You'll then be asked whether you want to create a new frame or use an existing print frame. What that means is are you printing this area kind of from scratch, you've not printed here before, or have you printed here before and you want to use an existing frame? So I'm going to go with the new frame option, and on the next step you are selecting or creating your print frame. So you can firstly denote what paper size you want and what orientation, so I'm going to switch here. You can then choose to print everything you can see, so you do that by using these little corner boxes to make the box smaller or larger, the frame area smaller or larger, and then there's this little box in the middle that you can use to move the frame. So that's one option. You can then also print at a fixed scale, so you type in the scale that you want to print at, and then the box will be locked to that scale, but you can still move the frame around. You can then choose your border and the base map that you want to use. So this by default is on OpenStreetMap, and we'll see that there's no cost for this. On the others, if you toggle through, it will show you the price of those prints on the different base maps. So I'm going to go back to my free one, and then I'm going to select customize print. And on this screen, what we're going to do is customize all the elements of the printable output. So we can add a header by clicking on the plus. I can then insert my text and then choose an insert location. I can add a footer in the same way. I can go to my legend, and then I'll go directly to edit legend items, and you'll see all the options that we've been added are listed here, but I can hide or delete options, or I can overwrite and change what they say. I can also change the order of how the legend items appear, then save my changes and choose my insert location. I can also insert a logo, so if you have a logo that you want to upload, you can do that, but I'm just going to cancel out. And copyright scale and land app logo are all added for you, but if you want to move or remove these, you can. And map label text size refers to the size of the annotations, the text annotations here, so you can make those larger or smaller. And then, because this is a free map, I only get the option to buy now, but if it was a paid map, I'd have two options now, one to buy and one to preview. And we certainly recommend, if you are buying a plan, then you can select the preview first. It will be a watermarked version of what you see on screen, and it just allows you to check all of the elements before you purchase. But I'm just going to click on buy now. And what this is going to do is it's going to prepare my print, which may take up to a minute or so, and then I will be presented with a couple of download options, and they are PDF, PNG or JPEG. And once they're available, you can select the one that you want. It will open in a separate screen, so you can check it, and then you can come back here if you want to make any changes and then reprint it or buy it. And once you have that, obviously you can save that file to your desktop, you can email it to people, etc. It will be offline to LandApp. You can also manage your prints from here, and that's going to take you to a list of any of the prints that you've purchased. So whether those be free ones where you've clicked on buy now, or paid ones where you've actually paid, they'll be listed there, so you can go back into them and you can customize them again, etc., or just be able to see them as a record of the prints that you've completed in LandApp. So what you will see that my print is now generating, and now I have my download options as mentioned: PDF, PNG, JPEG. So I'm just going to close out of here, and again I'm going to close again so I can go back to my map. So that's one option, creating printable output. You can also export your data as GIS files if you want to use them in another system, and you can do that by clicking on export in the top right here, or at a plan level you can also click on export here. So I'm just going to click on export. This option allows me to select multiple files, so I could maybe select these two, and I can also decide what export option I want, make my selection, and then click on export. And what it will do is it will create a zipped file that contains that data, which you can then save and using other systems, or again email to any colleagues or consultants. Another output that you can create in LandApp is tabular output. So I'm just going to show you the two different types you can generate. So firstly, I'm going to click on the three dots here and I'm going to choose table view, and this is a full table view of all the features contained within your plan, showing your options, your areas. If they're payment rates, it will show those and the values, and if I come over to the right, you'll see all the additional features. If you're in a free subscription, you'll just be able to view this on screen, but if in a paid subscription, you'll be able to download this, export it from the LandApp and take it offline as well. So that's one type of tabular data. I'm just going to go back to map, and then I'm going to go into this report section up here, and the plan reports allow you to see a kind of summary view of that information, so not item by line item. So what we'll see now is if we expand this, we can see all of our summaries for our different options. So I can see that I've got 3 features in my low input grassland that make up 29.85 hectares, and that's 88.37% of the holding. That concludes the different outputs you can generate in LandApp. So in part 5, we'll look at how you can get support and guidance in the LandApp. So in the bottom right of your screen, you'll see this chat function. If you click on it, you can search for help. So for example, if I wanted a bit more information about how to create buffers in the LandApp, I can select the guidance that shows, and I would be able to, in this guidance, see how to create a complete buffer or how to create a partial buffer. Other examples, I mean, you could, for example, look at how to get Scottish RPA data into the LandApp. So I'm just going to type in, there you go. So we've got a bit of Registers of Scotland information, how to create plans with that, and then obtaining field parcel data from the Rural Payments Agency. You can also get in touch with us. We have a live chat function. You can send us a message. So you just type in your message that comes through to that, and to us, and we will respond. And then you can visit our YouTube channel, where we have a whole host of recorded webinars that we've done and additional guidance. And if you want to see all of our help and guidance, that's also available. So you can see it all listed by category here. And again, you can search for a particular topic, and it's going to bring back all of that guidance for you. In addition, you may also see messages from us here alerting you of upcoming webinars or product releases, etc. So it's always worth keeping an eye on the right hand panel to see if there are any messages waiting for you. And that concludes how to get help and guidance in the LandApp.